Hello and welcome to Unacademy, a one-stop destination for the English medium civil services aspirants. Prelims 2025 is over. What next? Let's discuss today. But listen to me carefully. If you are scoring 85 plus in GS, although our prediction is that cutoff is going to be anywhere in the range of 92 to 95, but you can never guess with the UPSC. On the safer side, if you're scoring 85 plus in GS and you're qualifying CSAT, I urge you start preparing for the mains examination. But if you're not qualifying CSAT or you're not qualifying GS in terms of not scoring more than 85 or you're planning for 2026, this is the session for you. And let's discuss everything heart to heart, what it takes to qualify the civil services examination if you are writing and appearing in 2026. And listen to me carefully. When it comes to Union Public Service Commission, each year it conducts an examination called the Civil Services Examination. And it is a three-tier examination system. There are three stages to this exam. There is prelims, followed by mains, and then the personality test. And if you qualify all the three stages in one go, then depending upon your rank, depending upon your preference, you can become an IAS, IPS, IRS, IFS, so on and so forth. So this is not primarily an IAS exam. This is the Civil Services Examination conducted each year by Union Public Service Commission, which is the central recruiting agency of the Government of India. Can you create a plan for CSE 2026 depending upon what sort of questions were asked in 2025 or 2024? Can you create a plan for 2026 based on what your friends are doing? For example, I'll tell you something very important. Almost a majority of the students, they're saying that this prelims exam was the toughest in the last decade. Whether that is true or not, I don't know. So I will have to learn from you because you are the ones who have given this examination. Was it tough for you? Was it tougher for others? Only a student can tell me whether the exam was tough, moderate, or easy. But the point is, I was talking to 5 students today, 5 of our learners. And we will upload that video tomorrow, possibly after 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And I was discussing with 5 of these students what went right for them. Because if there are candidates who are struggling for 70 or 80 or 90 in GS, these are the 5 learners who have scored in excess of 100 in GS and they are qualifying CSAT as well. In fact, yesterday on my Telegram channel, I posted a message. All of you or those of you who are scoring 100 plus in GS, please reach out to me. And I got 56 mails from the students and they have categorically stated that we are scoring in excess of 100 in GS. Some have scored 120, some 130, some 140 as well. And trust me, with hand on my heart, I'm not trying to demotivate you because maybe you're not scoring 90 plus, you're not scoring 100 plus. But even with the kind of questions which were asked in Prelims 2025, there are still students who are able to cross 100, 110, 120. So what worked for them and what can work for you, that is something that I wanted to discuss with you for the initial 4 to 5 minutes. But listen to me carefully. One of the students said that I scored in excess of 100, but he is preparing along with 2 other friends. So there are 3 friends in this group who are preparing for the civil services examination. All of them appear in prelims. All of them are scoring in excess of 100. But the strategy for all these 3 friends is different. So there can't be one size fits all strategy for civil services examination. You have to understand what is your strength, what is your weakness, what are your core areas, whether you are a morning person where you can study early in the morning or you are somebody who is like an owl and you have insomnia and you can study throughout the night and prepare for this examination. What works for one individual may not work for you. What works for you may not work for someone else. So what do you need? What is the right approach to follow? For that, listen to me carefully. There are, and this is something that I have been repeating ad nauseum, repeating multiple times. There are two important documents which are released by the UPSC, and these are the two documents which you must never neglect, which you have to read, understand, comprehend. One is the syllabus, and the other is PYQs, previous year's questions. Of which period? At least of the period 2013 onwards, because that is when the pattern of the examination changed. These are the two very important documents which you must follow, which you must understand, which you must comprehend. And basis the syllabus and the PYQs, you will have to create, plan a strategy which works for you, keeping in mind your strengths, your weaknesses. But here I would like to make a distinction. There are two kinds of aspirants. Sir, we know what you're going to talk about. Two kinds of aspirants. Number one, those who give up. Second, those who don't. If you don't give up, you will clear this examination. If you will give up, 100% you are not going to clear the examination because you have come out of the race. But these are not the two kinds of aspirants I'm talking about. I'm talking about two types of aspirants. Those who are preparing on their own, who are doing self-preparation, and those who have joined coaching classes, whether online, offline, hybrid, doesn't matter. Please listen to me carefully. No matter which coaching institute you have joined, whether online, offline, hybrid, whatever it is, whether an academy or any other academy, but please follow the classes religiously. Whatever the teacher is teaching you, follow that. The tests are given, attempt them. Mentorship is provided, follow that. PDF is given, books are given, read them. Just follow one source for your preparation. For God's sake, please do not multiply your sources of information and knowledge. There is already a lot of information overdose. There was a time prior to 2013 where there was less information. Now there is an information overdose, information explosion. Everybody is teaching, but please follow one source and stick to it. So if you have already enrolled in a coaching class, don't watch this video. That is nothing for you. Just follow what your teachers are telling you to follow. Just follow their lectures, their tests, their notes, and be done with this and focus on your revision. This is a strategy session for those who want to prepare for the civil services examination on their own. This is not a strategy session for those who have already enrolled in a coaching class. But now if you want to enroll with us, if you want to prepare for the civil services examination with an academy, and you want to study in the English medium, for that there is an option. If you want, you can enroll in our foundation batch. One batch where we discuss GS, CSAT, and everything related to GS and CSAT, where through live classes, through notes, through test series, whatever is being taught from Monday to Saturday, there is a test that is conducted on Sunday. There is a dedicated segment for current affairs called UCAN, and everything is available at one platform, provided you need a guided program to prepare for the civil services examination. And if you want, you can join our foundation course, and the price that I'm told, the subscription fee that I'm told is 19,999 if you want a guided program to prepare for the civil services examination. And if you join, then you don't need to watch this video. Just focus on what the teachers are telling you, follow that. But if you are preparing on your own, what is the right strategy that you need to follow? And for that, I will add a caveat. There is no such thing as right strategy. But yes, there is something called a basic minimal strategy that you need to follow to prepare and ace the civil services examination. And what is that? Number one, you need knowledge. Knowledge in the sense, there are so many subjects that you have to read. Subjects such as polity, geography, history, economics, science and technology, environment and ecology, disaster management, then ethics, essay, optional subject. For all these subjects, follow one source. One source in the sense, one book per subject and read it 10 times instead of reading 10 books on a single subject. Please don't do that. Don't commit that mistake. Minimize your sources. For example, specific to Indian polity, the subject that I teach, let me give you an example. Which is the book that you need to follow? M. Lakshmikant. If you don't want to follow M. Lakshmikant, there is another book written by former IAS officer, Mr. Rangarajan, called CSE Polity Simplified. That's the book that you can follow. But just follow one book. But even if you follow Lakshmikant, Lakshmikant is going to help you only in the prelims examination. Is it going to help you in the mains examination? Absolutely no. Then, sir, for mains examination, for polity, what is it that we need to follow? Specific to polity, my dear, Lakshmikant plus current affairs. What do we mean by that? For example, everything that is mentioned in the syllabus, if you look at prelim syllabus, it is not clearly defined. But when you look at the main syllabus, it is clearly defined that these are the topics that you have to study for GS paper 2. These are the topics that you have to study for GS 3, GS 4, GS 1. These are the topics that you have to study for your optional. For God's sake, please focus on the syllabus. Please read every line item that is mentioned in the syllabus. Please read every statement that is mentioned in the syllabus, every topic, and prepare notes for these topics. Notes how? In polity, you will have to study executive. And in executive, there is one topic that you need to follow is the office of the governor. Now for governor, this topic is relevant for prelims. This topic is relevant for the mains examination as well. And this topic is relevant for the third stage as well, which is the personality test. But the approach that you have to follow for prelims, mains, and the personality test varies. Varies in the sense, listen to me carefully. For that, you need to understand the fundamental difference between prelims and the mains examination. You might have heard that there are students who crack this exam in the first attempt. And there are some students who crack this exam in the second, third, fourth, or last attempt. And there are also students who never crack this examination. What is the difference between those who crack this exam and between those who do not? One basic reason is, although there can be few other variables, you may say that these are plain lucky individuals, or you might say somebody has done black magic and that is how they have qualified this examination. But basically, the fundamental difference between somebody who has cracked this exam and somebody who is unable to do that, somebody who has failed to do that, is they are unable to understand the fundamental difference between prelims and the mains examination. And if you will stay with me towards the end, till the end, towards the end, I will take up your questions, whatever questions you have with regards to your preparation. I'll be more than happy to give you my honest advice regarding your preparation. And I promise I will not misguide you. In prelims, UPSC will ask questions, and the focus of these questions would be to test whether a student has factual knowledge or not, whether the student is aware of the facts or not, and whether the students have conceptual clarity. Conceptual clarity in the sense, look at the prelims 2025 question paper and take a look at the questions which were asked from geography. I can tell you with hand on my heart that if your foundation is strong, if you have conceptual clarity, you would have been able to solve all the questions in geography, provided your concepts were right. But then, If you have studied geography in such a manner that you have memorized all the lakes, all the national parks, all the wildlife sanctuaries, all the river systems, dams, capitals, you would not be able to solve these questions which appear in the geography. Sir, what are you trying to say? If in geography, my dear, I'm not classifying the subject into climatology and others. What I'm trying to understand here is, in geography, there is concept and then there is mapping. If you have attempted Prelims 2025, please answer my question. How many hours did you devote on mapping and how many hours did you devote to concepts? If you have devoted 60 hours on mapping, how many questions were asked from mapping? And then calculate the return on investment. Because you have invested time, you have invested 60, 70 hours, sometimes 80 hours on mapping, remembering and memorizing all the lakes and the mountains. If you would have spent the equal amount of time on concepts, you would have been able to solve all the questions in geography. And 110% every year questions will be conceptual from geography. Most of the questions will be conceptual. There may be questions on mapping here and there, but maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4. If you want to spend 60, 70 hours just to do mapping, but you have neglected your conceptual understanding, conceptual clarity, if you would have spent more time on building concepts, every year you will score well in geography. And this is the same thing that we can replicate for polity. In polity, UPSC in your prelims examination will ask you, will test you, whether you have conceptual clarity, whether you know the facts or not. And in mains examination, the focus will be on analysis. The focus will be on elaboration. Whether you are aware of the concepts or not. For example, this time, a factual question was asked that whatever decision is taken or the discharge of duties of the office of president or governor, you cannot challenge it in the court of law. There is no judicial review. Plain fact, this question was asked in the prelims examination and this is correct. But when you look at the same concept, this can be asked in the mains examination regarding the office of governor. In the sense, evaluate the constitutional discretion provided to the office of governor in light of the recent Supreme Court judgments. So you have read facts related to the office of governor. You know the concepts related to office of governor as well. Fact is, according to the constitution, which of the following are the qualifications mentioned in order to be appointed as the governor of a state? You have to be sure that there are only 2 qualifications. 1, you have to be the citizen of India. Second, you must have completed 35 years of age. Yes, there are some conventions which have developed over a period of time. For example, one convention is that while appointing the governor to a state, the chief minister is consulted. The second convention is that this person who is appointed as the governor to a state should not be the resident of that state to which he is appointed, but these are not mentioned in the constitution. This is a convention, unwritten rules, but something that we follow. These facts can be asked in your prelims examination. Or concept. The office of governor is a centralizing tendency of Indian federalism. We say India is a federal polity. But despite the fact that we are a federal polity where we have the federal constitution, there are some provisions in the constitution which are biased in favor of a strong center. The constitution envisages our polity to be such that although we are federal, but we are biased in favor of a strong center. And one such provision is the office of governor. Because who appoints the governor? The president. But the president is the head of the union executive. So the head of the union executive is appointing someone to a state. And then this someone can block the bills passed by the state legislatures. And that is something that we are witnessing in Tamil Nadu, we're witnessing in Telangana, we're witnessing in Karnataka, we're witnessing in Kerala, we have witnessed in Punjab, in West Bengal. And if you notice one thing in common, all these states are the opposition ruled states. That means ruled by the political parties which are opposite, which are in opposition to the ruling political party at the center. And then Supreme Court has said something. Prescribed timeline for the governor within which the governor will have to decide in giving assent to the bills passed by the state legislature. So consider this. In light of the recent Supreme Court verdicts, in the light of the recent Apex Court judgments, evaluate the constitutional discretion available to the governor. So this is like analysis of a fact or a concept that you have studied for the prelims examination. That's the basis of your mains examination. So understand the difference between prelims and the mains examination. Prelims is about facts, concepts. Mains is about analysis, elaboration of whatever you have studied. And for that, I'm telling you, if these facts you can cover from Lakshmikant, analysis, elaboration will have to come through newspapers. Now is the question on your mind. Sir, which newspaper to read? Again, I'm making a difference between those who are self-preparing and those who are already enrolled in a coaching institute. If you are already enrolled in a coaching institute, just follow the current affairs material and classes provided there. If you are enrolled with us, you just need to follow UCAN. But that does not mean you don't have to read the newspaper. Please, please, please read newspaper on your own. When you read newspaper, at least the editorials and columns of the newspapers, your vocabulary will increase, enhance, get better and better. And you would be able to solve the English comprehension passages of your CSAT as well. Then you can't complain that CSAT was difficult. And at the same time, by reading editorials and columns, you will have content ready-made available for your mains. By reading editorials and columns, your analytical ability will enhance and you will be in a position to write better mains answers, because mains is all about answer writing. If the cutoff in prelims is 90 and you are scoring 90 and someone else is scoring 199.90, doesn't matter, these marks will not be counted. The marks that you score in mains and the personality test together will be added, and that will determine whether you are going to clear this exam or not. And mains is about 1750 marks. And mains is all about answer writing. UPSC will ask you, write an answer to this question in 250 words. Write an answer to this question in 150 words. So you will have to learn the art of answer writing, and that you can develop by reading newspapers, by reading editorials and columns. So even if you are following UCAN, please read editorials and columns from the newspapers. But if you are doing self-preparation, what is it that you need to follow? Read the Hindu. Read Indian Express as well. And read some other portals as well, other online websites as well. For example, The Wire. For example, The Print. Sir, you are recommending international web portals as well, online digital magazines as well. How can you do that? I am here to tell you, to guide you for the civil services examination. Nothing more, nothing less. I don't have a hidden political agenda in telling you to follow these newspapers or websites. Looking at the analysis and doing the analysis of the previous year's question papers, questions have been directly asked from The Wire. If you don't trust me, check 2017 mains question paper from GS paper 2, and you will see a question related to one nation, one election. Although if one nation, one election is implemented in India, the cost will reduce of elections, but it will also reduce public representatives accountability to the public. This was direct statement, direct headline, picked from the wire. Sir, what are you trying to convey? I'm saying if, let's say, Waqf, or let's put the example of one nation, one election. If one nation, one election is in the news, you have to read the report of Ramnath Kovind committee. Why did it recommend one nation, one election? But how do you analyze whether these recommendations are good, bad, or ugly? For that, you have to conduct the analysis. For that, you will have to read editorials and columns from the Hindu, and maybe it will tell you the critical view of one nation, one election. It will criticize one nation, one election. You will read some articles from the Indian Express and it will praise one nation, one election. So here you will get arguments against this reform. Here you will get arguments in favor of this reform. But you also want your answer to be better than others. Because this is not an exam that you have to just qualify by scoring a specific percentage of marks. This is the exam that you will have to do well and do better than others. How do you ensure that your answers are better than others? You need to spice up your answers by giving more information which no one else would have or very few would have. Which means you will have to read more. Which means find some strong points, important points from wire, from print, and incorporate them in your notes. Your one nation, one election notes are done. You are ready for the mains and the prelims examination. But you will have to do a lot of research on your own. So read one nation, one election. Or let me give you one more example related to delimitation. What is delimitation? You will find it in Lakshmikant. How many times delimitation has been carried out? You may find it in Lakshmikant. What are the constitutional provisions? You may find it in Lakshmikant. What is the role of censors with delimitation? You may find it in Lakshmikant. But should delimitation be carried out in 2026? What should be the criteria for carrying out delimitation? Will the southern states be at a disadvantage as compared to the northern states? For that, you will have to conduct the analysis. For that, you should know the arguments in favor of delimitation, arguments against delimitation. And for that, you will have to Google search. And in Google search, you will find articles from the Hindu, from the Indian Express, from Frontline, from Wire, from Scroll, from Print. Read these articles and extract 5-10 important points. List 5-6 points in favor of delimitation exercise, 5-6 points against delimitation exercise. So you never know what question will be asked in the examination, but you have covered it from both the angles. And once your notes are done, ready, all you need to then do is revise. That's what you need to do. Similarly, for example, there is a paper called GS Paper 3, which talks about environment, science and technology, economy. It also talks about internal security. For internal security, there is a law called Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, which was amended by the Parliament in 2019. Sir, why are you giving this example? Because I want to tell you the mindset that you need to follow to prepare for this examination. And what is the mindset? This law was amended in the year 2019. Sir, how should we study this amendment of 2019? If we are going to be civil servants, we are going to be bureaucrats, do we have to always justify these amendments, praise these amendments, because we can't speak against the government? We have to toe the line which is in favor of the ruling political party at the center. Maybe this is something which has been communicated to you. But in 2020 means examination, when this question was asked, The question was such that you had to justify this amendment, and you also have to discuss concerns raised by human rights organizations. And human rights organizations were highly critical of this amendment of 2019. Which means, what is the question expecting from you? Two things. Justify this amendment, as well as mention the criticism of this amendment, which has been raised by various human rights organizations. So unless and until there is a policy, you have to know the pros of this policy, cons as well. For example, any new scheme is launched by the government, or in GS paper 2 in social justice, you will have to evaluate a lot of schemes announced by the central government. Let's say you're talking about MG Narega. You need to have 5 to 10 points in favor of MG Narega. You also need to have 5 to 10 points against MG Narega. And that is how you can prepare for the civil services examination. You should know best of both worlds, pros as well as cons, black as well as white. And that is how your mindset has to be. You can't say or assume or presume that since I'm going to be a civil servant, I will have to always justify what the government is doing. You can criticize the government as well, but it should not be on ideological basis. It should be on factual basis. Because it should also depend upon the requirement of the question. If the question is asking you to critically analyze, you will have to mention arguments in favor, arguments against as well. Long story short, if we are discussing your approach for 2026, for that I've told you, and let me reiterate, please keep your syllabus sacred. Anything and everything under the sun can be asked by UPSC in this examination. This is an absolute myth. Everything, every question would be asked which is part of your syllabus. Second, PYQs, because syllabus will tell you what to study. PYQs will tell you how to study, how to approach questions. You have to keep both these documents as sacred, starting point, stepping stone for your success. But then you also need the fundamental difference between prelims and the mains examination. What would be asked in the prelims? What sort of questions would be asked in the prelims? What sort of questions would be asked in the mains examination? You have to know the fundamental difference between prelims and mains. And then for a subject, instead of reading 10 books on a single subject, read one book but read it 10 times. But you won't still find a one book which will cater to everything. That is why you will have to link it with current affairs. By reading a book and then linking it with current affairs, your subject is over. This is true for subjects such as polity. This is true for subjects such as environment. This is true for subjects such as science and tech. This is true for subjects such as economics. But for geography, you may have to rely on NCERTs. For history, you will have to rely on NCERTs. If you can't rely on NCERTs, at least one standard book per subject. For example, for modern India, you may refer to Rajiv Ahir or Bipin Chandra. For medieval India, you may refer to Satish Chandra. For art and culture, you may refer to Nitin Singhania. Right? Similarly, for ancient India, you may refer to R.S. Sharma. One book per subject, but read it 10 times. Multiply your revisions, because revision is the key to success in this examination. But the most important thing is, evaluate yourself. And you will have to evaluate your performance both for prelims as well as mains. Prelims, take as many mocks as possible. Look at the question and read it carefully and understand what is the question demanding from you. Is the question asking you to point out the correct options or the incorrect ones? Because there you don't have to make mistakes. And if you take mocks, you will make mistakes in mocks. And you will learn from these mistakes as well. So that tomorrow when you are appearing in the examination, you will not commit those mistakes again. For example, some of you would have made mistakes. You have read a question, but then immediately you did not mark the OMR sheet. Right? Now when you have made those mistakes, you will not recommit these mistakes. So as soon as you have read a question and you know that the answer to this question is A, you will immediately mark it on the OMR, because if you keep it for later, then you are going to make mistakes. You have to mark OMR sheet for question number 1, and maybe you are marking it for question number 2. This is the mistake that you don't have to make. Similarly, the question is asking you which of the following statements are incorrect, but you're marking the correct ones, or vice versa. So by appearing in mocks, these silly mistakes you are able to resolve. But not just that. When you take mocks, you are also revising that particular subject. When you take mocks, you are not only reading that question and finding out what is the right answer, you're also looking at 3 other options. Why were they incorrect? So from one question, you are basically resolving 4 issues or 4 topics or 4 statements or 4 concepts. That's how you will have to approach the mocks. Take as many mocks as possible, and that is surely going to help you in the prelims examination. But mains is a different ball game altogether. And unfortunately, not everywhere you are taught the nuances of answer writing. Answer writing, my dear, is a key. You have read a concept. You have the knowledge. You have a lot of information on that particular concept. But how do you apply that knowledge? That is very important. So how do you structure your answer? What is the introduction? What should be the introduction? What is the body? How is the conclusion? Should I write the answer in point format? This is a controversial line. This is a controversial statement. This is politically ideological statement which you should not have mentioned. Somebody has got to tell you this. These are irrelevant lines which were mentioned in your answer. Somebody has got to tell you this. There are no facts. There are no statistics mentioned in your answer which should have been mentioned for this particular question. How far has India come in following or abiding by the Millennium Development Goals? For that, you will have to mention statistics related to infant mortality rate, maternal mortality rate, so on and so forth. What is our literacy? What is the status of our women's empowerment? What is Human Development Index ranking of India? Have we improved over the past few years, or are we on a decline? These statistics should be mentioned in such answers. These statistics are missing. Somebody has got to tell you this. Committee recommendations are missing. Committee reports are missing. Supreme Court judgments are missing. Somebody has got to tell you this. And mains answer writing is the most crucial aspect of your preparation. If not for anything else, but for this mains answer writing, you need guidance. You need proper, genuine guidance so that your papers are evaluated with proper feedback so that you can improve upon that feedback as well. Why? Listen to me carefully. There is one question which students often ask me, and which is, sir, how should I start writing answers? I'm scared of answer writing. I don't know how to start. You know what my response is? The best way to write a great answer is by writing bad answers. Because when you write a bad answer, you would know through proper feedback mechanism why this answer is bad. Improve upon that feedback. Don't make the same mistakes again. Develop your answer writing capabilities, and then the time will come when you will write an answer which is suitable for civil services examination. So don't be scared of answer writing. Start answer writing. Start with a bad answer. Then it will be less bad, lesser, much improved version, and you will reach a point, the pinnacle of answer writing, where your answers will be apt for the civil services examination. Reach that stage, and once you reach that stage, you will ace and conquer the mains examination as well. Answer writing is important. So we have discussed the difference between prelims and the mains examination. We have discussed the importance and significance of syllabus and the PYQs. We have discussed briefly current affairs also, what you need to follow for current affairs, and then the importance of taking mocks and the significance of answer writing. I'm going to now touch one more very important theme, and which is how to select, how to choose your optional subject. But before I do that, just to break the monotony, let me go through the questions that you might have for me. I will try and respond to these questions, and then we will discuss the optional subject. Really, thank you for Conquer Prelims. Thank you. Got 90 plus in prelims, but couldn't clear CSAT. On question paper analysis for beginners, how do we approach subjects right from beginning of our preparation to clear in first attempt? What is expected by UPSC? What is expected from us on joining an academy? What do we expect from you when you join us? We don't expect anything. So we start from basics. We start from scratch. In fact, you don't have to even read NCERTs if you are preparing with us, because our lectures, our classes would begin from scratch. You don't have to even read NCERTs on your own, because we would cover them for you. What we expect is you should be committed to your preparation. So what we do, through live classes, we cover the prelims and main syllabus for GS as well as CSAT. But attend these classes. Every Sunday, there is a test, both objective as well as subjective. 20 MCQs will be provided based on the topics that we have covered from Monday to Saturday. So you will be prepared for the prelims examination. We also give you a set of 5 descriptive questions, which will help your mains preparation. There is All India Prelims Test Series. There are dedicated sessions for UCAN, which means 15 classes every month would be solely conducted on current affairs. And we just don't take source such as Hindu or Indian Express. We cover Hindu, Indian Express, Hindustan Times, PIB, Business Line, Economic Times, Business Standard, so on and so forth. Various other topics, various other sources, various other portals, so that you have a one-stop destination for your current affairs. And on top of that, there are notes provided. Whatever teacher is writing on the screen, the annotated PDFs are provided to you, which will help in your revision as well. Brief elaboration about Platinum, although I did not want to touch this aspect, but since you have asked. Platinum is a program which we have initiated, we have launched, where we want to replicate the offline classroom environment online, where there will be 100 students in a batch. The teacher would be teaching you live, your camera will be on, so that in a distraction-free environment, you are able to study. Because often what happens is, when you are preparing online, you would know that the teacher is not watching you. You are only watching the teacher. So you may be distracted as well. You may be dozing off as well. So your span of attention is less. Your focus on the subject is less, on the classes are less. But once your camera is live, you're on, then it becomes easy for you to concentrate as well, because teacher is keeping an eye on you. And sometimes in online classes, what happens is you also miss classes. You skip classes and then you don't want to continue further, which means you skip few classes and then there is no inclination for you to attend the classes again. And then you take a break, then you come back after a month. In Platinum, if you miss 3 classes, there will be a reminder. Mentor will reach out to you and will force you to attend the classes. And all these Platinum learners are guided by the teachers themselves. So all of us would be guiding these students, but be that as it may, let's focus on optional subject. Optional subject is one of the most important areas for your mains preparation. Why? Because you have GS 1 to 4 worth 1000 marks, because each GS paper carries 250 marks. Then there is essay, which also carries 250 marks. But then there is optional subject which carries 500 marks. Although there are 2 papers, paper 1 and paper 2, but subject is 1. One optional subject, for example, PSIR, paper 1, paper 2, worth 500 marks. Imagine a subject which gives you 500 marks, which overshadows and dominates all the other GS papers. Look at the significance of this subject. But there are students who often either in a hurried manner select optionals, or they select optional very late, or they don't know the criteria how to select an optional, and then they change their optionals. What is the right approach in selecting an optional subject? Listen to me carefully. First is interest. Unless and until you are interested in a subject, you won't read that subject, you won't study that subject. So you have to be interested in a single subject, and then you can prepare for it well, thoroughly as well. Right or wrong? Because you have to spend 4, 5, 6, 7 months on your optional subject, depending upon what optional subject you're choosing. And unless and until you are interested in that subject, you won't be able to devote 4, 5, 6, 7 months for your optional preparation. But interest alone will not help. Interest and this optional subject that you choose should have a short syllabus, because this is a competitive examination. You have to do well, but you have to do better than others as well. So please select an optional subject in which you are interested, but where the syllabus is short, which you can cover in 3 to 4 months ideally. Because if you're covering the optional earlier than others, which means you have more time to revise, more time to take tests, more time for your GS and other areas, which means you are at an advantage over others. But interest and short syllabus alone will not help. This subject should be scoring as well. There are some optional subjects which consistently over the past many years have not given good returns to the students. For example, public administration. And there are various other subjects as well. Even if you're interested in that optional, even if the optional has short syllabus, but it is not scoring, I would say keep your interest alive, but study this optional at Labasna. Because here the focus should be on marks, not Karl Marx, marks. Because this is a competitive exam. You have to do well, you have to ace this examination. But again, if you choose a subject in which you're interested in, and it has a short syllabus as well, and it is scoring as well, but there isn't proper guidance available. Proper guidance available in the sense, do you need coaching or not? This is entirely your call. I can't tell you. If somebody asks me, sir, should I join coaching or not? I can't tell you you should or you should not. That's your call. You have to understand who you are. Whether you can complete the syllabus on your own, whether you can evaluate your answers, whatever it is. So you have to decide. But for optional subject, I must tell you, you should join coaching. And here there is no self-interest involved either, because I don't teach any optional subject. So you can't say sir is saying join optional coaching because sir teaches an optional subject and he wants us to join that subject. No, I don't teach any optional subject. So here I can vociferously tell you, you have to join coaching. And that too, that coaching where you are guided properly, where good quality notes are provided, where good quality test series is provided. Sir, why do we need it? Listen to me carefully. If you are taking an optional subject, for example, chemistry or mathematics or botany, zoology, and I would assume that you are taking these optional subjects because you have a background in these subjects. Otherwise, why would you? So you already know what is the syllabus. You have already covered it as well in your graduation or post-graduation. You don't need coaching. But if you are an engineer who won't take an engineering subject, for example, civil engineering or mechanical engineering, or electrical engineering, you won't take your graduation subjects as your optional. You will be choosing political science or sociology or public administration, geography, history. Since you have never read these subjects from the optional perspective, you need good quality coaching, good test series, good notes so that you can follow them and quickly complete the syllabus and focus on the rest. These are the criteria that you have to keep in mind. But then there can be a question on your mind. Sir, should we select an optional subject based on its relevance in GS? I would say no. Just because this subject which you are taking is going to help you in your GS, just because of that, you should not choose that optional. At best, it can be an added advantage for you. But it should not be the sole reason. Because please don't consider optional subject just an extension of your GS. Treat optional as a standalone subject worth 500 marks. Treat it separately and focus on it and make the best use of your optional proficiency so that you are able to cross 300 marks in optional, at least to 80 to 90 plus. And if you do that, your chances of clearing this exam increase manifold. But what are you trying to say? There are students who qualify this exam, but then next year they appear again. Why? Because they want to improve their rank, because they want to get into IAS. So you would see a large number of students re-attempting this exam even after qualifying because they did not get the good cadre or service of their choice, of their liking previously when they qualified this examination. But if you are strong in optional subject, your chances of clearing this examination not only increases, the chances of you getting a better rank also increases so that you don't have to appear in this exam again. That is why choose an optional subject based on this criteria alone. If it is going to help in your GS, that is an added advantage, but solely because it's going to help in your GS, that is not why you should choose that optional subject. So based on this, can you recommend an optional subject? I can. First is a literature subject. Sir, which literature subject? Tamil, Telugu, Odia, Malayalam. Why? Because, don't tell this to anybody, but if I'm from Karnataka and I'm opting for Kannada literature, who will set this question paper? Who will opt for this optional? And who will evaluate this answer? Don't you think there will be an element of bias? And this is not me saying this. Look at the report, annual report released by the UPSC, and consistently you will see that literature subjects are performing well when it comes to the success ratio, when it comes to the marks that you score in a literature subject. So if you are good in a literature subject, but the catch here is you should be good in that literature subject. It's not that after attending this lecture, you will say, okay, I'm taking Tamil literature as my optional subject because sir recommended literature subject, but I'm from Punjab. It is a recipe for disaster. If you're good in a literature subject, opt for it only if you are good. If not, then you can choose science-based subjects, for example, mathematics. Why mathematics? Because the question which is provided to you, the answer to that question is either correct or incorrect. It is not based on the subjective understanding of the examiner. When I am evaluating your answers in mathematics, I can't say, I'm not happy with your answer. You should have written something else. You should not have written this. You should have incorporated this as well. I can't do that because it is objective. It is not subjective. So the answer is either correct or incorrect. But if you are not interested in a literature subject or in mathematics or science-based subjects, then you can opt for subjects such as anthropology, short syllabus, and consistently doing well in terms of scores, or sociology, or political science and international relations. Some would prefer history as well. Some would prefer geography as well. But here again, you will have to focus on your interest level. And why I am recommending these subjects or any of these subjects? Because good quality coaching material, test series is available in these subjects. And if you can do that, very good. But here again, if you are able to memorize well, if you believe in and you are a firm believer of rote learning, where you can memorize paragraphs, then anthropology and history is for you. But if you're not good at rote learning, but you have a flair for answer writing, you can write answers well, then sociology for you. If you are interested in geopolitics, but if you can manage the vastness of the syllabus, because the syllabus for PSIR is vast, but if you are interested in geopolitics and you want to learn Marx, Michel Foucault and others, then political science and international relations for you. But if you're good with concepts, if you can imagine the geography, if you can imagine the evolution of Earth, if you want to understand and if you like learning about monsoon, how is it different, why India is the only country where we have a true monsoon, for that you may choose geography. So again, it depends upon an individual. Otherwise, all these optionals are good. And towards the end, please keep 3 things in mind. Just 3 things. 1, motivation. I was talking to a student before the session. I don't know whether he's watching the session or not, so I won't take his name. He is doing something fantastic in marketing. He's working. But now he wants to prepare for the civil services examination. And he asked me a single question. Sir, should I quit and prepare for this examination? But at the same time, I don't see any reason why I should prepare for this exam, but I just want to prepare for it. I told him, don't quit. Prepare for GS for the next 4-5 months. And during this period, also try and find out the motivation why you are preparing for this exam. Because if there is lack of motivation or there is declining motivation, you will not be able to clear this exam. Only those who have fire inside, only those who are committed, who are dedicated, who have absolute clarity about why they want to prepare for this exam, why they want to become a civil servant, only these students can crack this exam. No one else. Why, sir? Because we say, or some say, that this is the world's toughest exam, but it is not. There is a well-defined syllabus for this exam, and then there is a newspaper. Link the two and you will be able to ace this examination. But the process is difficult. You will have to ideally start 1 year before the prelims examination. So if you're planning to appear in Prelims 2026, this is the time when you should start your preparation. Ideally 1 year before the prelims exam. Then few months later, you have to give the mains exam. Then few months later, you have to give and appear in the interview. Then results would be declared. So if you're targeting CSE 2026, the results would come in April 2027, although you're starting from May 2025. So this process is a 2-year process, minimum 2-year process. God forbid, if you believe in God, you don't clear in the first attempt, then repeat the cycle again, another year. On an average, if majority of the candidates are clearing this exam in their second attempt, which means minimum you will have to devote 3 years of your preparation time for acing this examination. This process can become difficult. Sometimes you will bang your head. What am I getting myself into? I was happy in a job. I was happy in a college. I was happy doing nothing in my life. But this is something that I don't want to do. This is where your motivation will have to strike back again. This question will have to ring your head again. Why do I want to ace this exam? Why is it so important for me to crack this examination? So at any point in time, if you feel that this process is becoming overwhelming, the subjects are becoming overwhelming, the test series is becoming overwhelming, overburdening, you will have to go back to the single question which you should have started with. Why should I crack this exam? Why am I preparing for this exam? What motivates you to prepare for this exam? Then everything will fall in place. As Muhammad Ali would say, I hated every minute of my training, but I told myself, suffer now and live the rest of the life like a champion. And he did it. Only serious candidates should persist along this path to prepare for this exam. If you're genuinely motivated, motivation can be anything. I want to serve the country. I want to serve my community. I want to serve the society. I want to make a difference in the lives of the millions of the people. I want power, prestige, status in the society. This is my grandfather's dream. This is my father's dream. This is my neighbor's dream. Whatever it is, but there has to be motivation. Without motivation, it becomes difficult for you to sustain. That is why after a point, some people just give up and quit. But once you're motivated, then what you need is discipline. Discipline in the sense, you might have heard of this often repeated adage, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. There is a syllabus. Create a timetable to check how do I comprehensively cover the syllabus well ahead of time. Every day you have to study. Even if it is for 1 hour, but don't give a break. Consistently study. Initially, limit your expectations. Start with minimal expectations. Start with minimal targets. But once you complete those targets, your confidence will be boosted. And then slowly and steadily, you can increase your targets. But with disciplined approach, focused upon your schedule, focused upon your timetable, you should be able to conquer the syllabus. And then, as I told you, guidance. Somebody has got to tell you what to study, what not to study, and even more importantly, how to study, how to prepare for this exam. Somebody will have to guide you, mentor you throughout this process, evaluate your answers, guide you. These are the three key ingredients for success: motivation, discipline, and guidance. And if you have these three things in abundance, I can give you in written with my blood that you're going to crack this examination next time when you will appear. That is something that I wanted to communicate, convey. If you have any questions, please let me know. I did my PhD from sociology. Moreover, it is my major paper. Do we really need coaching? I told you, if you are somebody who has done graduation or post-graduation in that subject, then you don't need it because you're already aware of the syllabus. If someone is preparing self, how to analyze mains answer? This is a dicey question because I don't have an answer to this question. Can I evaluate my own answer? It will have the same sanctity as money printed by oneself. So someone else has to give you the proper feedback. Otherwise, even if you have written a good answer, you might say, I'm not satisfied. Or even if you have written a bad answer, you might say, I'm satisfied. It's a fantastic answer. No, Chetan sir and me, we are not planning any optional subject. Okay, that is it for now. Just to repeat, should you wish to prepare with us, enroll with us for your civil services preparation, you can do that now. Our subscription is available at 19,999. But yes, if you go through our website, you check through various options, you will find an option of plus iconic subscription that you may need for your preparation, and you might see a different price being quoted on the website. But if you apply this code IAS English, it will automatically unlock the lowest price that is available. Whatever price is available at that time, the lowest price will be unlocked by using this code. And if you do that, your subscription would be available at 19,999. This is something that I wanted to convey to you. Thank you so much for staying with me. Do let me know if you have any questions with regards to your preparation. I will personally reply to all your questions. See you next time when I see you. Till then, all the best. Good night.